When my girls were younger, we would homeschool them. It was a rewarding time because we got to have all three girls at the house all day. It was a chance for us to teach them and love on them and be their parents 24 hours a day. You know, we'd have one student in the kitchen working on her work, one in her bedroom working on her work, and then they would share a school computer. But one of my kids figured something pretty smart out. If she was at the school computer all by herself, she could shrink her schoolwork and play a video game instead. And if she heard mom coming or her sisters coming, she would switch those two windows. Down would go the video game, up would go school, and it would look like she was doing everything she was supposed to do. Well, you know what happened next. Her grades started to drop, and we figured out what was going on and put an end to it. But you know, the story tells us that if the condition of your heart isn't ready to receive what you're trying to learn, it'll probably just fall right off to the side. Jesus told us this through a story in Luke chapter 8. He said it this way: a farmer went out to sow his seed. As he was scattering the seed, some fell along the path. It was trampled on, and the birds of the air ate it up. Some fell on rock, and when it came up, the plants withered because they had no moisture. Other seed fell among thorns, which grew up with it and choked the plants. And still other seed fell on good soil. It came up and yielded a crop 100 times more than was sown. The story that Jesus tells here, he goes on to explain, is really not about a farmer and seeds at all. It's about the Word of God, and it's about you. He starts the story by saying that this farmer went out to plant seeds, and he threw seeds out onto a path. But you know why it wouldn't grow. A path is walked on all the time. The dirt is trampled down and tamped down hard and tight. So there was no room for the seeds to get down into the soil. I just wonder if your heart, through pain or experience or just indifference maybe even, has become hard to what God is trying to teach you. Jesus then said that the farmer threw some onto a rocky patch of ground, that there were rocks among the soil. And it turns out that while the plants started to grow, they withered pretty quickly because they didn't have any water and their roots couldn't go deep enough. I wonder if your faith is a little too shallow because you haven't really gotten deep into what it is that God is teaching you and who He wants to truly be in your life. The third thing that Jesus said was that the farmer threw this seeds out into a thorny area, and that while the seeds started to grow, the thorns came up with it. And because of that, they got choked out, and those seeds never really grew because they had too much competition. I wonder if you've ever been so distracted in your life that the Word of God has not been able to take hold and grow deeply. But Jesus also tells the story of the good soil, where the farmer throws the seed out and it takes root, and those roots go deep, and it gets enough moisture and nourishment, and the plants begin to grow. And not only do they grow, but they produce fruit 100 times more than what was thrown on the ground in the form of seeds. And I wonder if that's not a dream for your life, that God would richly and deeply dwell in you. And that your relationship with Christ would get deeper all of the time, so that in your life, as you share your faith and as you're a light before men, fruit would start to come out. Fruit like joy and peace and patience and kindness and gentleness and self-control. Fruit like seeing other people see your life and start to want to know more about God because of it. Fruit like being able to share what He's doing in your heart and how He's changing it, teaching you to forgive, teaching you to love. I wonder if it's not your dream, like it is mine, to have a relationship with God that is solid and firm, deeply rooted and growing. If that is your hope, then Jesus is the one who can help get you there. We've been talking about how we can listen to Jesus' words, explain to us and teach us, and let Jesus be who He truly is, not some version of Himself we're trying to fit into some sort of a box. I want to encourage you to think about where you're at in your faith today. Are you growing deeper This is a tough time to grow deep because a lot of churches aren't able to meet or are only able to meet in certain ways and at certain times and with certain limitations. Small groups can be hard because everybody's distracted and they have their own lives going on and a lot of it's happening online, which can be difficult. But if you are ready to let God dwell richly in you, to have your faith grow deep roots and produce real fruit, then this is your chance to begin to listen to Him. If you're ready to see your faith begin to grow deeper, I want to invite you to join me in a personal discipleship. We're going to be meeting online to start with. So you don't have to be a part of our church and you don't have to live in the Alpharetta or Cumming areas. If you'll text the word discipleship to 770-580-3938, we'll get you registered to be a part of this group where I'm going to walk with you step by step what it means to be a follower of Jesus. Not only to just have a relationship with Him, but to understand where you fit into the story of God and how going forward you can be a part of making that story of God go throughout your community, your family, your work. You have the chance to grow deep roots. You have the chance to become a more faithful and true follower of Jesus. You can do that in our discipleship group, or you can do that through conversations with your own small groups at your church. I want to encourage you, as always, to leave comments, questions, and prayer requests with us on this video because we want to interact with you personally and help you in your faith and grow you in your faith. Will you join me for our discipleship group that starts very shortly?